Welcome to Bandit's Keep Actual Play. I'm Daniel. We are continuing my original Dungeons & Dragons campaign using Chainmail, particularly in this episode, for the combat system. The foxes and wolves, well, they didn't have the best time in the dungeon, but they did manage to pull the orcs out into the field of battle, and the battle rages on. Because these orcs are a threat to the civilization that the parties live in, they are going to try to wipe them out to the last orc, which isn't normally how I run Chainmail, but in this case, that's what's happening. So let's see how the battle goes. There's two things going on here. Ignore this for a second, because this charge would have continued if we had a bigger field, which is what I'm doing right now. And I did the math, and basically they would have just ran into him one more time. So I'm going to make another morale check here. Again, 7. They have the leader with them, so they get a +1. Okay, that time they make it. So because of that, they don't stop. I mean, they don't run. However, I'm going to roll another die. On a 1 or a 2, they rally. If they don't rally, then we're going to be attacking them from the back. Okay, they do not rally. So at this point, I get to do attacks from the rear, which again is medium horse, against heavy foot to these guys, which is 2 dice, 5 and 6 hits. So I'm going to roll 6 dice now. That's all the dice I have. 5s and 6s are hits. Oh, by the way, we're going to call it, well, no, this is still the same turn. Okay, 1 kill. All right. Okay, that is the end of that turn. I got to do post-melee morale over here. So again, we're going back to our chart. I feel like these guys are going to be running, but let's see. Both sides. Oh, right. These guys are actually... because now there was a melee, so they're actually 1 more and they're exhausted. Okay, the side with the fewer casualties determines positive difference, so 1 times 1, so 1. The side with the greater number of surviving troops, which were involved in the melee, so 5, 2, so that basically the orcs at this point have an advantage of 1, and then we do our math. Heavy foot are times 5, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And the light horse is 6, so 18, so there's a 7 difference, multiplied by 2 is 14, which gives us melee continues. All right, now again, that will be the end of that turn. Basically, in the beginning of the next turn, these guys are resting, because what I'm going to figure out here is how far could they have run? They're not that far from, I should say they're not faster than the horses, so the horses would have caught them on that page if I was really chasing them. So what I'm going to determine here is how many centimeters. We'll say 3d6 centimeters from the horses is where they're going to end up. Okay. 11. And again, with backs to the enemy. Okay. Same thing with the ogres. I'm just going to put them in the same spot. Feels... well, they actually left earlier, so I'll put them up here. All right. But again, that's not going to happen until the end of this turn. First, we're going to resolve this. A leader with the group will automatically rally them now. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to call them rallied. And depending on, well, it won't matter. Even if they lose initiative, movement happens first. So basically, they're going to turn around so that they are not backs to enemy anymore. It takes a full movement to do that. Of course, at this point, they are now exhausted. So these guys are exhausted, but they are at least facing their enemy. They do have the leader with them. And they're not going to move, obviously, because they're in a melee. There's no reason to wrap around them or anything. So they're basically good. Let's have this melee happen, and then this will happen, basically, in theory. So these guys actually have run again, too. So they are also exhausted. And the ogres are not, because they had not been involved in as many fights, or as many moves, I should say. They rested. That's how they're not. That's how they didn't catch them. And the player characters are going to come in just like that, because they're the same. They're the same speed and they're whatever. But they are actually on 4 at this point, because they did not take 1 to rest, so they could catch up. So they're almost exhausted. So I think the smart thing to do at this point, although I don't know if I can do that, so let's roll initiative first of all, because movement happens before anything else. Oh no, this battle has to happen. Okay, let's do this melee first. So the orcs are exhausted. Now, let's look and see what exhausted does again. When any troops fulfill one of the above, they become fatigued. Fatigued, not exhausted. They attack the next lower value, heavy foot equals light foot. They defend as the next lower value. Morale drops by -1 on values and dice rolls. Okay, so they're going to fight as light foot. So light foot against light horse. And again, it's still daytime, but they have their leader with them, so there's a wash for that. Okay, light foot versus light horse. 1 die per 2. So they're going to get one die. A 6 will be a kill. 5. They do not get any kills. Light horse versus light foot. 2 dice per man, 5 and 6 kills. So they're going to go 6 dice over here. 5s and 6s are kills. Ooh, wow. Oh my God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's as many as they have left, and the leader suffers the fate of the group. So they wipe these guys out, like literally gone. But these guys are also, I have their things over here, these guys are now, because of one more turn of melee, they're also exhausted at this point. Okay. They're wiped out. Again, everybody here has to make a morale check at -2, or they're going to basically run because the leader just got wiped out. So here we go. Ogre is making the morale check. Fail. So they're going to run. Fail because they have the minus. Okay, so they're running. Normally I would take them off the board, but again, because we're doing a seek and destroy mission, they're just going to chase them. So I am going to allow them to immediately move without having to roll initiative or anything. So they're going to move, again, their full movement, which is 9. And their backs are to the enemy. 9. And because they moved now, they're also exhausted. So these guys are all exhausted. So let me do this. We'll count these as exhaustion, because they're not stopping yet, because they're fleeing. Exhaustion. The PCs will be exhausted next turn. They moved to get here, so they cannot cast, unfortunately. And I don't think, because these guys keep running, that they're going to be able to get a spell off to them. These guys, though, are not exhausted. They've only moved once. So what the PCs are actually going to do is, since they can't get the spell off and move, is they're both going to rest. Because, again, they're fast, so they can catch back up if they need to. These guys, though, are going to charge. And they're going to charge these guys, because I think they're the easiest ones to attack. 18 out of their 30. They must make a roll. They got to beat 7, which they do not. So they have to move 13 and a half, which makes 14. So they're too far away. These guys have to go, but they don't quite make it all the way. They get to there. Okay. And, oh, can the ogres? No, they moved already. They moved because of the thing. So they're basically, they can't move because they just moved. I'm just counting that as their move as opposed to an extra morale thing. So I'm kind of house ruling a little bit here, just to understand the rulings I'm making. Normally in Chainmail, because they failed that morale and they failed the morale, it'd be over, right? This side would have, quote, won. But the thing is, I'm not playing it that way because they're trying to wipe them out. So I treat it just that they're running, and if they're on their turn, they can't do anything but run, which is what they did. So both of these guys ran. That's all we got. These guys, oh, you know what they can do? Oh, no, they can't. Oh, no, they can. So they have bows, and they can shoot. Now, in order to shoot when you've moved your full movement, you have to beat the enemy in a die roll. So if the white die is higher, they can shoot their bows. Oh, same. So it's not, so they can't shoot the bows. Okay, so next turn. Initiative. These guys, by the way, are going to rest for this turn that we're in right now. Okay. initiative. Oh, okay. PCs get to go first. Like I said, they're resting. These guys are going to basically, although the ogres will be able to come at them if they do that. Well, you know what? They're hoping they're going to push them further. So they're going to actually charge 2 centimeters. Boop. They need to make their morale, which is a 7. They make it. Okay. So they're getting attacked in the back. Now, the PC magic users are going to move up. Their movement's 24. They don't want to get, yeah, they don't want to get close enough that the ogres will be able to attack them. So they're going to move to here. Something like that. Because the ogre won't be able to turn around and attack. They won't have enough movement to do that. But what the ogres can do is move forward. Actually, I don't know if they have enough movement to do that. Move forward 3. And then use a half of their movement, which would be 4.5. So that's now a total of 7.5 to go this way. And then that leaves them with 1.5. Are they close enough to move in? No, they're 2 away. So they can't quite get there. Okay. Which works well for the PCs at this moment. Although next turn they're going to be in trouble. Possibly. All right, so we have a melee here. Again, their backs are to the enemy. They can't return blows. They are basically exhausted. They're defending is 1 level lower, and the group that's attacking is attacking 1 level higher. So we have medium horse versus light foot, effectively what's going on here. 2 dice per man, 4 through 6 kills. So I'm rolling 6 dice. Yeah, this is basically a massacre, but that's what they came here for, sadly. I say sadly because I'm kind of a pacifist D&D player, I guess. Okay, we got 2 kills. Which, frankly, is enough of their troop to be destroyed that they'd fail the morale from excess troops, which means that I could have them just run again, I suppose. Or I could just say that they surrender and sadly, as again, the mercenaries would just cut them down. I feel like the orcs would know that, so I feel like they're going to break morale and they're going to run. And again, they'll just retreat as if... And again, I'm kind of house ruling this because that's not what should happen. What should happen in the game is that they basically should just be dead, effectively, or gone from the board, which is effectively dead. All right, so that's that. And obviously in the post-melee morale, they would have... Oh, that's what I'll do. They lost 2 in the post-melee morale. Let me just see what happens here. Let's do a post-melee morale and see what happens before I move them. So again, they lost 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. They get 1 more for that, so they get 5. Those are only worth 4 now, so 8. So they only have 8. The PCs have 18 plus 5. It's still not enough to make a difference. I think what would happen is they'd move back, well, 2 in good order is what it says, but their backs are to us. So I think we're good with that. Okay. So I'm going to call that the end of that turn. There was a melee and a charge. So they're actually almost exhausted now. They're going to need the cavalry to come in, like, quite frankly, honestly. All right, but this is going to get wrapped up pretty quickly here because what's going to happen is we're going to roll initiative. The orcs win, so the ogres are going to move in. Okay. Both magic users are going to cast their spells and take these 2 out. Okay. That's basically, well, actually, well, they would have moved, and then these guys, they're going to try to rally. Because that way they don't have to have their backs to the enemy. They do not rally, which means that they're going to continue to run, very likely. So basically what happens is they were stuck here for a second, so they couldn't have moved during their movement phase, but these guys are going to continue to go. I mean, honestly, if 20 orcs get away, it's probably not, they're never going to come back. So I think we're basically done here. I can't imagine that that's ever going to be an issue. Those 20 orcs are going to run off into the woods, and that'll be the end of it. So, yeah. That was a heck of a thing. Because effectively, let's just play it out. Yeah, PC's won initiative. They're within charging distance. They charge. They make their morale, which means they stay. We roll 6 dice against them. With 4 through 6s being kills, and that's plenty. So, you know, it was inevitable. The PCs regroup with their mercenaries. They did lose 10 horsemen, but in the end, they wiped out a massive amount of orcs and ogres. Obviously, they finish off the ones that were asleep, and that ends that threat. Of course, at this point, the PCs are going to want to go back and take all the treasure out of that lair. And maybe we'll figure out what we do with that next time. I think I may leave these guys out here in the field and figure out what we might do. I may actually, since mercenaries don't go into the dungeon with you, they may offer them more treasure to just go with them to the site and guard effectively, you know. Maybe they'll pay off like one group of 10 horsemen just to come and guard them, and then they'll just go in and loot the lair. We'll figure that out. I may play that out, or I may just narrate it at the end of this. We'll see. It's been a it's been a fun adventure here. So 2 of the foxes survived, and 2 of the wolves survived. So they're pretty beat up at this point, but again, they're going to have a bunch of treasure, and they did take those orcs out. So hopefully some notoriety. A couple of days of real world time have gone by, and it gave me a chance to think about how I want to do this. So just for those one-to-one time trackers out there, because they're in the field, time kind of freezes where they are. That's how that works. But plus, the real world time has not actually caught up to where they are anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, I decided that if this was my own campaign and I was running, I had players, when they finished that battle, we would probably just narrate out going in the gold and going home, because that was a big victory, right? That's a good place to end on a high, right? The rest of it can just be narrated. But because I'm playing this way more like a board game and very systematically, I decided I should play it out. So I want to figure out a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to use my Oracle. This is going to be the slider dice, as Matt Jackson calls it. Number one, was there any kind of bounty on the orcs? Because remember, they're planning on making this massive move to raid, but there was likely other raids, right? So was there a bounty? Because if you remember from the Black Hounds, there was bounty on those goblins. This matters because, again, we have hired mercenaries. Maybe they're going to want that bounty. So I'm going to put this towards the yes side, the slider die, and let's roll. Okay, so we have a tie. Oh, no, we don't. Both dice are yes. So there was a bounty on the orcs. Now, because they just started raiding, roughly, I'm going to say it can't be too high. So I'm going to say it's anywhere from 1 to 6 gold pieces per head. 4. Okay. So there's a bounty of 4 gold pieces per head for the orcs. Okay, so there's a bounty of 4 gold pieces per head. That means that's going to help fuel what I'm going to do next. The party, again, they hired these mercenaries to do this. The mercenaries are going to want that bounty, or at least part of it. They're going to give that to them as a bonus because they did a great job. They lost 10 of their own. They're going to want to rest for the day, get things ready. They can spend the day basically collecting their prizes, if you will, so they can bring them back to get another. Boy, that's going to be another 400 or so gold pieces, which is huge because that's a lot, right? So now, while they're doing that, though, the party is going to go back to the orcs' lair and get the rest of the treasure because there's a bunch of treasure there they know about. It is the next morning, which makes it October 30th. They're going to move to the lair, and because they're on horses and because they can basically, they could traverse to the lair and back roughly with the movement they have, actually not quite, in one day. And because they're going to be able to walk into the lair almost unhindered, what I'm going to say is they can get there, loot the lair in one day, and then they'll come back the next day. So the 30th in the morning, they're going to rememorize their spells. Remember, there's 4 magic users. Because they might run into some issues, they're going to all take sleep spells again. That's their best weapon. None of them have armor or anything, right? So, and they don't want to take any mercenaries with them for a couple of reasons. One is that the mercenaries might see them come back with thousands of gold pieces and turn on them. I don't usually do that kind of stuff, but, it could happen. So they don't want the mercenaries to know they have all this treasure. So they're definitely not going to want to show it to them. So what they're going to do is they're actually going to leave in the morning and tell the mercenaries, take the bounties on the heads, we'll meet you back at the town to get your payment. Because remember, they paid them 10 gold pieces a piece to come down here, but they still now owe them like another 30 gold pieces a piece. So yeah, they're going to want to meet up with, and I'll say that normally for these kind of deals, that stuff's like an escrow, right? So they left that gold back at town with the patron just in case they don't come back. Okay, so what that effectively means is we're going to leave the warriors there for the day, and the party is going to move. So we'll do the regular outdoor survival movement. I'm going to roll to see if they get lost. They're in the plain, so they're not lost. They can use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have 10 movement, remember. They're going to go back to the lair to loot it. So now again, this is the next day, not even the night of the next day. Like, it's been less than 24 hours since these orcs have left their lair. There is an incredibly small chance that something might have come in there that was dangerous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll, and on a roll of a 1 on d6, something has come in there. And then if there is something in there, I'm going to roll again a wandering monster check. And if that comes up, then the party will have to face it in order to get the treasure. Otherwise, they're going to either avoid it or not see it or whatever. By the way, I will also, in this evening, do a check in both places for wandering monsters. So first we'll do the lair. Did anything come into the lair while they were gone? No. Okay. So that means from the party's point of view, they have now moved into the orc/ogre lair. They're going to collect the rest of this treasure, which comprises of a gem worth 5,000 gold pieces, a gem worth 500 gold pieces, a gem worth 1,000 gold pieces, an additional 5,000 gold pieces from the orcs, a sword, and a potion. So they're going to get all this magic stuff and this other stuff. They're going to pack it up. They come back out, they set camp, they're going to leave in the morning. So now it's the evening of the 30th. Let's roll here. Is there a wandering monster? They're in, oops, I'm looking at I had that open just in case there was a dungeon monster, but we're going to be outside now. In the clear, is there a wandering monster? 6. There is. Okay. These guys are going to encounter something. So I'm just going to roll for the party too. Hopefully they don't also get one, because then I'll have to deal with 2, but let's just see what happens. In the clear, in the woods, 5 or 6. Oh, they also have, okay. All right, Daniel, you're going to have to keep track of this. So let's see what we get here. So this is on the 30th. So let's do the mercenaries first. So again, this is in the evening, so they've already collected all the orcs' heads. Worst case scenario, if it's something major, they may run from it, but there's a lot of them, so their chance of evasion is not going to be very high. So let's see what they encounter on the night of the 30th in this massive battlefield. Maybe something came to pick in the carnage, like some kind of scavenger. All right, so again, they are in the clear. We're going to roll. This is a D8 roll. 6. 6 is men. Oh, that's interesting. So some type of men have come upon this battle site. Maybe they heard the battle. Who knows? Let's roll to see what kind of men. 12. A patriarch. Okay, that's interesting. So this is not necessarily a bad thing, because patriarch means lawful. Because evil priest would be, which is right there, would be evil. So they're lawful. Orcs have just been eliminated. There is somewhere where it says there's going to be 2 to 12 men with them. They'll be from 1st to 4th level of the appropriate class. Okay. And they might have magic items. So before I roll any of that, let's just see what we've got here. This patriarch shows up. Clearly, the orcs, in this world, and the way I'm playing it, they're creatures of chaos. A patriarch would be opposed to them. They come across this group of mercenaries who have just slain a bunch of orcs. It's very, very likely that there's going to be a positive reaction here. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a reaction roll. So I should just say, our group is over this many, well, over 24 or 25 plus. They are 100%. So there is a 35% chance that they could just ride away without being caught by the patriarch. But, well, actually, I don't know the patriarchs. Let me see how many people they have with them. 7. Okay, so they're about 50%. So there's a 20% chance that they could just avoid them altogether, and they're twice as fast. So they could ride off, but again, this is a big group of formed men. I don't think they're going to be afraid of 8 people coming on foot or horses, likely. So that's why I'm not doing an evasion here. They may have to evade if something goes bad, though. So let's roll a reaction. I'm going to give +3 to the reaction because they have slain the orcs. That's a 7. We're raised up to 10. 10 for a reaction is accepts offer. So I think what we'll do here is, again, they're Patriarch, they're lawful. They see this terrible battle has gone here. I think they're going to ask the mercenaries to basically burn the body of the orcs. Not because, of course, the mercenaries just took the heads because they didn't care. They're going to ask the mercenaries to do that. And I feel like because the mercenaries don't want any trouble, they're very likely to do it. So again, I'm going to roll a reaction from the mercenaries, assuming they also get, with the +3 again, assuming they also get a positive reaction, then we'll just say they make a deal, they go on. Otherwise, the mercenaries are going to basically say, no way, and the clerics are going to sit there and try to do it themselves, which means the party will probably encounter the clerics when they go through that spot. So let's just see if the mercenaries do it because, hey, why not? Yeah, they do. So they see this Patriarch arrive. Maybe the Patriarch is able to bless the grounds, heal some people who might have had minor wounds. I mean, however we want to role play this out, the Patriarch is able to help them on some level. In fact, a Patriarch is able to cast 2 of the highest level cleric spells, which means they can cast Raise Dead. Does the Patriarch have Raise Dead? No. Okay, they don't have it memorized. But you know what? Maybe the Patriarch tells them that if they do this, then they will ride with them back to safety and raise each of their fallen comrades. Why not? That's something a Patriarch would do. Let's see. Is that what the Patriarch offers? If not, it's fine. I'm just curious. No. Okay, so they don't offer that. Maybe they just offer prayers, maybe a little bit of healing. But that's basically it. They don't offer to raise anybody's dead because maybe that's just not something they offer random people in the field. And again, the mercenaries are probably more neutral than they are lawful. So all in all, it's a decent exchange. The Patriarch and their people do some minor healing on the group. They obviously help, and they destroy the remains of the orcs' bodies instead of leaving them strewn across the battlefield for the vultures. And that ends that. The party, on the other hand, is encountering something in the woods. They're a group of 4. They're only a small camp. They may run, in fact, they're almost certainly going to run, depending on what they run into. So let's roll to see what the party encounters. 6. 6 in the woods is also men. Oh, maybe they run to the same Patriarch. 12. Patriarch. Okay, that's really interesting. All right, is it the same Patriarch and just at a different time of day? Maybe they run into them earlier in the day. Because the Patriarchs on horses, they could be passing through. I rolled this extra die as a yes, which is good because that's equal yes. All right, so now let's roll back and narrate this out. The party goes in there pretty quickly. It takes them maybe half a day to get there. They come out with all the treasure. They've set up camp. It's maybe like getting towards dark, a couple hours from dark. And when they come up, the Patriarch enters their camp. I suppose I should roll for a reaction roll here as well. Again, I'll give them a +3. Okay, again, a positive reaction. They have a conversation about what went on. Maybe the Patriarch was coming here because they heard issues with these orcs and they wanted to see what was going on. They're happy that went on. The party explains what happened. And then they say, oh, they want to ride out to the battlefield. And then the Patriarchs leave and head to the battlefield. The party, because of the rules of the game, can't move anymore today, so I'm not going to have them follow, but we'll just say the Patriarch can do that because they're an NPC and it's all narrative, right? So basically, that's what happens. On the 30th, like around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the party encounters the Patriarch as they're leaving the orcs' lair. At about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the night, as the mercenaries are kind of setting up camp, they encounter the Patriarch and they make this deal to burn the bodies. They stay up late into the evening burning the bodies to have the Patriarch do some healing and stuff on them. And that's basically the end of the day of the 30th. Now, the party has been okay. The party had told them, meet us back at town. So I'm just going to roll them separately. I mean, if they run into each other, I'll join them together, but I'll just do each one separately like we did before. So I'm going to roll 2 dice here and just move both people at once. And hopefully we can make this work. Black is going to be the mercenaries. White is going to be the party. So we're rolling now to see. I'll roll. Again, it fell out. I'm going to roll it only for rolls. Okay, so are they lost? In the woods, the party is lost. In the clear, the mercenaries are not. So I'll move the mercenaries first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They stop there. The party's lost. They have to move 1 in a random direction. 3. Okay, so they're going to go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They end up there in the clear. Okay, now we'll roll for encounters. Again, black is the mercenaries, white is the party. Okay, mercenaries are on a path. They do have an encounter. Party is in the clear. They do not. So this is the 31st. Oh, it's Halloween. Okay, mercenaries have an encounter in like the mountains, which is probably not ideal. And again, they're a large group, so it's not like they're going to be able to run from whatever they encounter. 2. In the mountains, a 2 is a flyer. They're definitely not running from that. Let's roll to see what type. 6. Ooh, manticores. All right, that could be a problem. All right, so maybe they will try to run. Manticores are pretty serious. Manticores, there can be anywhere from 1 to 4 of them. Their movement in the air is 18, which is not actually, that's actually slower than the party, interestingly enough. Not twice as fast, but it's slower, which is good because it means it won't follow them if they do run. So they might run if they can't evade them, because I do not think they want to fight manticores, but let's see how many manticores there are. 3. Okay, there are 3 manticore. So that's 75% of the normal amount. This group is 25 plus. So they've got a 35% chance of evading them. They are twice as fast, so they get an additional 25 for that. So they have a 60%. So actually, maybe they will be able to. 60% chance to evade these manticores. That is a 0, right? Yep, 0. So unless I roll another 0, 5. Yeah, they easily evade the man. The manticores are flying. They just take the ground. Moving the horses into maybe some small caves, whatever. Now, what we do want to do is roll to see if the manticore, if this is their lair, because if it is, we'll make a note of that. There is a 75% chance. So they're very likely near their lair. Nope, 8. So 81. So that's not their lair. Okay, that's the 31st. That day ends. Here we go, moving both again. Okay, neither party is lost, because again, low numbers are lost generally. So in the clear, they needed a 1. In the river, which is what I use for paths, they needed a 1. So neither group is lost. I'll move these guys first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They stop right there. Last day on the path. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They stop on the path as well. Let's roll for encounters. Both of them have an encounter on a 5 or a 6. No encounters on the 1st of November. All right, next day, is anybody lost? Again, they're only lost on a 1. Nobody's lost. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're off the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're in the clear. Do they have an encounter? They do. Okay. So on November 1st, there's an encounter in the clear with the party. 6 men. Men typical. Let's roll. Maybe it's that Patriarch again. 4. A wizard. Oh boy. Okay. So this is a wizard. Again, they'll have between 2 to 12 people with them. So let's see how many. The party's just avoiding people if they can. Okay, so there's a little bit less than 50%, but more than 25% of a possible group here. So I'm not going to roll to see if the wizard's nice or whatever until after they fail to evade, if they do fail. The party's from 4 to 9. They have a 50% chance of evading. I always rule that something like a wizard is going to be on a horse. So I'm not worried about speed. Everybody's on a horse, so we're basically good. So we're equal speed. So we have a straight up 50% chance to just avoid this wizard. Ooh, 6, which means 60-something, so they do not avoid the wizard. So they are going to need to run in a random direction because they didn't do that. Or they could just not evade and encounter them. But I think they'd rather just run in a random direction because metagame a little bit, I think I'm good here. The wizard's not twice as fast, so they're not faster than them, rather. So they won't follow them. And because they won't follow them, right, because there's only, if the monster is faster, then there's a 50% chance they'll catch. But they're not faster. So the party's just going to have to move 1 hex in a random direction. 5. But it does waste that day, or half the next day, because I have to rest half a day. So on November 2nd, they're only going to have 5 movement, but I think that's enough to get them off anyways. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're off. So again, that was a little gamist, but I knew that would work. So now we've got all the treasure. We get into town the day after the mercenaries, and we'll settle up with them. And yeah, so wow, a lot of dead characters, but in the end, successful in the sense that the mission was complete. I am realizing that I made a couple of goof ups, but that happens when you're playing with a group. It happens when you are playing solo. It just is what it is. But I think overall that went pretty well. And you get a sense, I think, of combining all 3 things, right? We used outdoor survival, and we used mass combat, and we used a dungeon crawl all in the same adventure. If you've been enjoying these actual play videos, and I think you have if you got this far, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're interested in seeing more content like this. You can check the show notes below to find links to all kinds of stuff, including my t-shirts if you'd like a t-shirt. You can also find links to my Discord server. Join up over there. Join the conversation. Lots of cool people over there. And my Patreon if you'd like to support the channels. I'll talk to you soon.